others.
Do you have enough light in your life? Are you soaring in the joy around you? Are you stuck and unable to make life happen? Stay tuned for the Rabbi Jenny Show, where you will learn how to bask in the light and find more joy and meaning in life. Call to talk to Rabbi Jenny at 888-565-1470 and email questions and comments at rabbijenny.com. And now, if you're ready, stay tuned for the Rabbi who will light your world on fire, Rabbi Jenny.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Jenny here. It's Rabbi Jenny, and I have missed you. I have missed you very, very much, and I have been tortured for the past 3 days thinking about this topic that I have to bring to you. But before I go ahead with this topic, I have to remind you of the main 2 Rabbi Jenny ideas that I bring to you every week. They're so important to me that I'm going to mention them every week because they weave through everything I teach you, and I don't want you to forget them. And the first one is the world is happening for you and not to you. And you got to get that. You got to realize that you are a piece of divine light energy, and it is actually manifesting in your benefit. It's actually working for you and not to you. And the second thing is that you are the light of the universe. So the topic for today, and we have the most amazing guest for this topic. The topic for today is Come On Baby, Light My Fire. And we're still in the week before Passover, before Pesach. And I thought, I thought at the end of the last show, I have to talk about fire. There's so much I have to talk about to you every week, but I have to talk about fire. Why fire? Why fire? Why fire? And Hashem, he talks to me, he tells me things, and there's a couple reasons why fire came up. And mostly because of Moses in the Passover story. We looked at the story of Passover last week, and we talked about it from a certain angle of freedom and letting go and the process and the messy process of letting go. And I always tell you and I always teach you that these characters in Scripture actually represent pieces and parts of you. So we're actually talking about the Moshe in you, and we're going to talk about it in the context of fire. And the symbol for fire in Judaism is the Shekhinah, and the divine fire and the feminine nature of God. And the name Shekhinah begins with the Hebrew letter Shin. Okay, and the Shin is such a beautiful Hebrew letter, and I wish I could show you on screen what it looks like, but it actually has 3 flames. And remember I told you that in the code, in the Torah, there are no coincidences. So there is no coincidence that smack dab in Moshe's name is the Shekhinah, or the fire. Because what do we know about Moses? Moses was going through life. He was put in a river. He was sent to live with Pharaoh. His life was saved, and he was just going about his life, living the son of the Pharaoh. That's what he was doing. He was walking through the pyramids one day, big construction site, and he noticed an injustice. And something happened to the Shin in his name. Something happened to ignite him, to ignite the fire or the eternal flame inside of him. And it was the injustice of watching the treatment of these Israelites. And he actually committed an act of violence towards his own people because of this fire. And he began to question, because that's how fire is. And that's why we're talking about it. Because at first, fire is messy. And we have to learn how to contain the fire. So the first thing he does is he commits this violence, and he has to run away. Because everything that he thought he was, everything that he thought he believed in, did not fit anymore. Because this ignition happened. It was lit up by this injustice. And then the fire appears again, and we all know the famous sighting of the fire. He goes off, meets a chick, is off, stranger in a strange land. We all know the story, but he sees a burning bush. Now, I'm telling you, there are no coincidences in the scroll. There is no coincidence in the code. There is a reason that they are talking about fire, and there is a reason they're talking about it connected to a tree or a bush, because the tree of life is Moses himself. And the fire he felt was in himself, and it was actually contained at this point. And at that point that he contained this passion that he had for these people, he was actually to be able to go forward in purpose and hear what he was to do next, which was go to Pharaoh and let him go and free him. So when we get in touch with the fire inside of us, when we get ignited to what we believe in, it can be messy, and I don't want you to be afraid. Don't be afraid. Now if you're listening, it can be a little messy, but what happens is when you contain it, you can change the world. And I am talking to you today about fire because I believe that you can change the world. There is something going on. It's called Tikkun Olam. It's called the healing of the world. And it is every single one of our flames which are always ignited, must be recognized so we can join together into one giant flame and actually transform the world with this fire. So, I'm saying, like, how am I going to talk for like a whole hour about fire? I have the most emblazed guest to do this because she actually lit me up one night more than I've been lit up in a long time with her voice. So I can't wait for you to hear her. But I was like, what can I was really, you guys, I was just praying on this fire thing, and I looked up quotes, and there's a famous a French general, Ferdinand Foch, who said the most powerful weapon on the earth is the human soul on fire. And there is one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's got Spanish subtitles, so if that's not your thing, I'm sorry. But it's Like Water for Chocolate. And it talks about, in this book, she says, each of us is born with a book of matches inside of us, but we can't strike them all by ourselves. So I really want to strike a match in you. And the funny thing about that is I'm like, who the heck am I? To think that you're going to be listening to the radio in your car and I'm going to be striking the match. I'm invoking a Moses moment. I'm invoking a match strike here with this show. So I was thinking about fire, and I was driving home. And actually, you know what? I wanted to talk to you about a second cool thing about fire. Fire is in every culture. It is in every sacred culture. So when you listen to the Rabbi Jenny Show, I want you to know you're listening to every faith. You're listening to every culture, because we have, in Hinduism, we have Kali. She's the goddess of purification and rebirth. She is the goddess of transformation, and she is often using a lot of fire. Okay, and that is the image in there. We also have, in shamanism, we go to the fire. We have the phoenix, or the Quetzalcoatl, or the thunderbird in the native cultures. And that is the bird that burns up and is actually reborn to fly higher and faster. So this image of fire is very important. It is the element of transformation and change. So I'm driving home. And I always tell you, Hebrew is such a fascinating language. And I hope someday you can meet me and we can talk about it. But this shin letter that's right smack dab in Moses' name, right in the middle, is also the second letter in the word for fire. Coincidence? I don't think so. It's Aish for fire. But there's also a really big fire. It's a fire we look at every day. And I was driving home and I was praying. I was like, my listeners, I love them so much. How can I light them up? How can I teach them about fire? Why do you want me to tell them about this fire inside of them? And I'm looking up, driving down Southern Boulevard, and I'm looking at the sun. And I'm looking at this fuchsia sun setting. And the Hebrew word for sun is shemesh. And if you have Hanukkah, you know the shamash. And remember, I'm saying this is because it's the three-flamed shin, okay? This is fire. This is the Shekhinah. This is the light. And I start talking to the sun because that's like what I do. And I'm talking to the sun and I'm saying, how do I light him up? How do I light him up? And the sun said, what do I do? The sun said, what do I do? Look at what I do all day long. And I thought about it. And I thought, how do you light somebody up? The first thing you do is you nurture them. You nurture them. You give them vitamins. You give them heat. You give them love. And you tell them how important they are. And I always tell you that, listeners, that you are so important, that you got something. And I have this feeling that you've had something recently strike your match. And you're like, I don't know, I'm afraid. I don't know if I want to feed this fire. I don't know if I want to change it. So this is your call. This is your call. And then the sun said to me, what else do I do? I feed people, I nourish people, but I also light the day itself. I also shed light on the truth of who people are. So maybe there's like some old ideas that you can't do something, or you don't want to do something, or you aren't capable of doing something. And I'm here to tell you, you can do it. And then the other thing the sun said is love. The quickest way to fan the flame inside of anyone is to love. And I think the biggest sin, or the biggest thing in life today, is that we are scared to love. And when we hit a level of love that frightens us, we hide our candle, we hide our light. And so I want to come to you today and encourage you to love. Love the unlovable. Love when you just don't feel like you can love anymore. And this may not be anyone else. You may be like, Jenny, I just do not want to love my boss. I just cannot deal with him. And these people who keep cutting me off on 95, really? And I just want you to start with the person in the rearview mirror. You. I want you to love you, because remember, I'm telling you, this tikkun olam, this healing of the flame, this healing of the fire that's uniting, the piece of the fire that you've been in charge of your whole life, that the universe put you in charge of is the light in you. So love you more. Just when you think you can't push yourself anymore to love you, love you. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Are you on a hamster wheel? Are you living a life that's stretched past your capability? And you're just not, it's a grind. And you're like, this is not right. And we talked about how last week that grind is necessary, but you know what? Burn through it. It's fast. It's like we fear our passions. We fear what gets us going, what turns us on. But those things get the change going faster than anything else. Because let me tell you, that guy, Pharaoh's son, was enemy number one. And he freed an entire people. And if that is not a huge message for scripture, then I don't know what isn't. So what's interesting, I always teach you a little bit. Every week we have a section of the Torah that we study. And it is a Jewish holiday, but the section we are scheduled to study this week is called Tzav. It's called Command. It's actually, we're in Leviticus, and it's a little weird. There's a lot of rules. And we're talking about the altar and how you keep the altar. And I always tell you, this is you. Everything they're talking about is actually talking about the altar, which is you. And in this particular section of Torah, because there's no coincidences, listeners, about what I got to teach you, in this section, it is very clear that this altar is to have a perpetual flame. And it says it many times throughout the section. You must keep the flame going at all times. And if you've been to many synagogues, and there are many sects of Christianity who keep an eternal flame burning inside the synagogue. But you are the synagogue, listeners. You are it. You are the altar. What does that mean? That everything you bring, everything you give, everything you devote to your life be brought to the fire? That the fire is always burning. Because if not, why are you doing it? What is it? What are you feeding? Nothing. It's just lying. It's not transforming. It's not being birthed. It's not being changed. Before we take a break, I want to talk about an example from my own life. Because the thing about fire and the thing about these moments is sometimes they come in your life where something doesn't make sense to you, where you're just not, you just need to help somebody. And I had this great Moshe fire moment. I talked about it on my very first show with the founder of For the Children. And if you're waiting for the fire, it will come, by the way, because it's waiting to ignite you. So just simply, we'll teach you something at the end of the show. I want to awaken my flame. I want to know, where is my fire? What am I called to? So I was speaking at this Martin Luther King event and doing a sermon, and this little lady gets up. This little woman gets up and starts talking about her kids at her youth center. And I got to tell you, I don't know, the minute before she started talking, I wasn't thinking about the kids at her youth center at all. Any more than I believe Moses was thinking about the Israelites when he was riding in his chariot down past the past the pyramids. But remember, the match must be struck by your life, and you have to listen to it. You have to listen, folks, to the flame. So she starts talking about her kids, and something inside me, something harnessed after so long of listening to it, something harnessed said, just go up and tell her you will do whatever she wants. Whatever she wants for those kids, you will do. Read to them, talk to them, whatever. For some reason, there was some sort of need to serve, some sort of need for purpose on this planet. The fire is got to be fed. It's got to be fed. And I'm going to talk to you about how to build a fire and how I did research onto that later in the show. So join us back. It's Rabbi Jenny.
You know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher.
Do you know someone who is currently struggling with an addiction? The struggle is over. Dream Recovery International has the answer. With a combination of highly skilled clinicians, innovative treatment modalities, and luxurious amenities, Dream Recovery International has it all. Focusing on core issues, spiritual growth, and personal empowerment, clients of Dream Recovery International leave addiction behind and move forward to fully embrace life. For more information, go to dreamrecoveryintl.com or call 855-DREAM-80. Dream Recovery International, where addiction ends and recovery begins.
Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV.
Spent hours in therapy, at the spa, and the gym, and still feel as if something is missing? At Walk Between the Worlds with shamanic practitioner Jennifer Sellers, you recapture lost pieces of yourself, place them within your heart, and move forward to fully actualize life. With individual sessions and group classes, with Walk Between the Worlds, you heal your mind, unite your soul, and empower your spirit. Contact walkbetweentheworlds.com today. Mention this ad on The Rabbi Jenny Show and receive 10% off your first session. Walk free and whole and true at walkbetweentheworlds.com.
You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Rabbi Jenny. It is Wednesday and I'm so glad you're here. Like I said, I miss you always, even when I'm not around you. I really miss you. So we're talking about building a fire, a passion in our life. And, you know, I told you that I think about this all the time, all week long, what I'm going to talk about. And I actually went on the internet and researched how to build different ways to build a fire. And I'm always looking at the symbolism because, you know, we live in a modern world, people. You just get a Bic lighter and light it up. I mean, that's just the way this is. But there is a very symbolic nature to actually building a fire. And one of these is to combine tinder, you know, and the tinder is actually usually old newspaper and pine needles that fall off the trees. And I thought, oh, how symbolic. Old news, our old ideas. We throw them right on the fire and we crumble them up. Old things that fall off our tree, we don't need them anymore. They're old growth and we put them there. And then what we do is we put kindling or sticks in a teepee. You know, I'm learning, you know, sticks in a teepee, and that teepee, those sticks, those are the branches of the tree, which are actually you. They're your strength. They're going to contain the fire. There are things that you could spare, but they're so strong that they will burn like the burning bush and not disappear. They will hold the fire and contain the things inside. And then you drizzle oil or lighter fluid in today's day and age, which is the divine essence. And then you light the match and it burns up. You know, and I thought, wow, that is really symbolic. Now, when I go to the fire and do some of my stuff in my practice, I never think about this. In Judaism, we light the Shabbat candles, and I always teach that we are actually turning off the lights outside and turning on the lights inside when we do that every Friday night. That we're actually reminding ourselves of our inner flame and that to spend time with it over the Sabbath. So it is time now for our Bad Mama Jamma segment. We have a good one. Jenny. All right, our Bad Mama Jamma today is a very dear friend and somebody who has ignited me quite a bit through her life and what she's doing. And it is the recording artist, Felicia Rose. Hi. Hello, Felicia. So we're here for a couple reasons. We're here to promote your new album, which is delicious and one I've been waiting for because it's focused on kirtan, and you know how I feel about that. Yes. But tell us about, I want you to just talk about fire in your life because I mean, it's really vague, but let's go. Let's get right into it.
Oh, fire.
Tell them about you and fire.
Okay, fire. Hi. Some people think I'm sort of mermaidular, but fire has been my lesson. Believe me. Yes. Oh, well, I really believe that we have to go through the fire to get higher. It's old, classic cliche, but I truly believe that the purification, we all have to get purified. To get to the next level of evolvement, of spiritual evolvement, we have to purify. We have to shed layers. We have to burn up our old ideas, our old thoughts, let go of the ego. I mean, releasing the ego, being freed from the ego is really what takes us to the highest place.
Tell the listeners, because sometimes it's I want to tell them what you define ego for them.
Ego is complete and total involvement of self and what you think you're doing and what you want to do. And when you go beyond ego, you are focusing on what spirit wants, what God wants, who are your angels, who are your guides, who's going to take you higher, who's going to teach you, where are you going to grow. When you let go of what you think you want and you follow what spirit wants, it can be the river speaking to you. It could be the crackles of the fire. It could be a teacher, or your mother, your father, an angel.
Well, I've heard your entire story many. I like sit by the fire to listen to Felicia. Okay, either to hear her singing or just hear her telling her adventures. Talk about one instance of the fire in your own journey, like where it it purified and consumed your life. And
okay, there's just so many.
Yep.
But since I had no prep for this show, she's good.
I do it on purpose.
I didn't even know we had video, so. Good thing I didn't come with my curlers. Oh, I have no curlers. Okay. When you said that, I just popped on one thing. Okay, so I'm going to tell this story. It just popped in. There's
Absolutely.
a million stories. Okay, this story, I was living in Hawaii in my van, which I lived in a van for 15 years. I lived out there with no electricity, okay? And I had a vision that the van was going to catch on fire.
Wow.
I did. I saw fire coming out from under the front seat.
Wow.
And I thought, that's not a good thing. Why do I keep having this dream? Why do I keep seeing this? Everyone said, you're crazy. Everything's fine. Right? And one day I'm driving. I'd slept way out in this bay where the dolphins come in every morning, and I was swimming with the dolphins, which is good. The things we'll do to swim with whales and dolphins,
right.
And be in a ether that's clear, not around a lot of people.
Right.
And I was driving back to town in the morning to go get food and blah, blah. And here's the fire that I dreamed about, that I saw when I got this van. I see flames coming out around the driver's seat, which was the vision that I had that everybody told me I was crazy about.
Oh, my God.
They're literal flames.
I'm laughing with you.
Yes.
Okay. Only Felicia.
And then I look up, and there's this gigantic double rainbow, and I'm like, what is this? So I pull over, park the van, and start getting all the instruments out. God Save the Guitar, the flutes, all the important things.
Right.
And my arms are burning. I've got my CDs that I sell.
Did you get
in
your
there.
beads?
I had to get the beads. All the
beads,
already made
right.
pieces
Right.
to sell. And I have everything out on the ground, and it's right next to the ocean. I'm dunking my arms in the water that are burned. But I've saved all these important items. And the next thing I know, there's this woman saying, let me help you. And she takes me to this mansion that's across the street, this gigantic mansion, and brings me in there and gives me tea and carries all my belongings over there while the van just is on fire, okay? And, I'm having my tea and my burned arms, and eventually the woman who owns the house comes down. Mm-hmm. She happens to be, at the time, one of the top psychic for the stars.
Oh.
Little did we know. And she said, well, I wondered what the rainbow would bring in today. It was a very auspicious rainbow.
You have to write a book.
I ended up living there. I lived there for a month. I ended up staying in the mansion for a month, okay? And she had me singing for her clients over the phone.
Wow.
And she was paying me. And she bought all my jewelry and all my beautiful things that I had made. And that became my place to be until the van was fixed.
So was there, you're creative, and we're actually going to play a track from your new album, Raise the Vibration, before we go to break. But you got some new songs out of that fire. No, but out of the fire in the van.
The reason I told that story, because there's so many I could have chosen from, is that when I was ready to go, she said, well, don't you want a reading? You've been here a month. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And she took me aside and she said, well, the main thing that's coming to me is that as long as you sing for God, you'll always have food and shelter.
Wow.
And at the time I was younger, and I said, that's all? Like, what about exotic travel and,
Right.
many hours in the studio and incredible instruments and, what else does a gypsy want? Studio time and travel.
Exactly. Name and lights.
And,
You forgot that.
and by the way, I don't really believe in God, But anyways,
That's
I believe in the goddess.
Yes.
But she sent me, I realized many times over that I've always had everything I needed because I've continued to sing for Spirit, for God.
Well, this new album, and we're going to talk about Felicia's Curtons at the next segment, but I want you to hear a track. Her new album is Raise the Vibration, and you can get it at FeliciaRose.com, which is on the screen, but you can also get it when if you go to my website. The first song I want to hear is Raise the Vibration, the title track. Okay, let's let that take us in, and we'll talk about it. And tell us the inspiration before Blake hooks us up.
This particular song, a lot of these mantras have been many people have recorded them. This particular mantra was recorded by a woman named Sinkar, who has passed.
Oh, yes.
And I was given her CD long time ago, and her version touched my heart so deeply. And this is close to her version.
Okay.
And when I recorded it, I felt her smiling down on me. And I just love this. It's a prayer for protection. It's a beautiful chant. I've always loved it.
Protection from the fire.
Protection from ourselves.
Yes, when the fire comes. Okay, let's listen. So beautiful. Well, we'll probably cut it off so we can talk some more. Good, you can sing into the mic, please. The listeners need to hear you. This is live. So explain to the listeners this mantra and what mantra is, and we'll kind of talk while the music's playing.
Well, as I said, many people, this is more from the Kundalini Yoga faith, the Sikh lineage, and it's a prayer of protection. It's a very, very, very powerful, beautiful, and simple prayer.
And when we say mantras over and over again, kind of
I feel like the power of mantra, and you can take it back to the rosary beads.
Sure.
It's the repetition. When you focus on repeating something highly spiritual, especially a mantra, many mantras are given by an enlightened master. This part of the song, you can hear it.
Wait a minute, let's turn it up, Blake.
And the pain and
This is a mantra from your teacher.
Well, I believe when you repeat holy names, a mantra that's been given to you by a master, an enlightened being who's already been realized, has experienced God realization, then there is a power to heal and to center the mind and to cut through all of the Maya, all of the illusion.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny because this is a little off topic, but with my father passing, I'm every day saying the Mourner's Kaddish. And I love the Mourner's Kaddish. It is actually a mantra written by a great Rabbi, and it was something he used to say over and over again, and his students actually said it so much after he passed away to elevate his soul that it became the Mourner's Kaddish. But it is like a mantra. It is like saying it over and over again, exalting and elevating spirit.
Yeah.
And when you hear and go see you sing and do these mantras with your guitar, you go to a place that's crazy. And we're going to talk about that type of joy when we get back.
Spent hours in therapy, at the spa and the gym, and still feel as if something is missing? At Walk Between the Worlds with shamanic practitioner Jennifer Sellers, you recapture lost pieces of yourself, place them within your heart, and move forward to fully actualize life. With individual sessions and group classes, With Walk Between the Worlds, you heal your mind, unite your soul, and empower your spirit. Contact walkbetweentheworlds.com today. Mention this ad on The Rabbi Jenny Show and receive 10% off your first session. Walk free and whole and true at walkbetweentheworlds.com. Hey, it's Rabbi Jenny asking you, are you ready? Life can bring many challenges, and sometimes we need help finding the answers to increase our awareness and take it to the next level. So are you ready? Come join me every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. on WWNN 1470 AM, where you can hear and see me bring spirit, light, and love into your life. Are you ready? It's time to change your life, take it to the next level, and embrace the greatness that is you. Are you ready? The time is now. Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. on WWNN 1470. So let's get ready.
Do you know someone who is currently struggling with an addiction? The struggle is over. Dream Recovery International has the answer. With a combination of highly skilled clinicians, innovative treatment modalities, and luxurious amenities, Dream Recovery International has it all. Focusing on core issues, spiritual growth, and personal empowerment, clients of Dream Recovery International leave addiction behind and move forward to fully embrace life. For more information, go to dreamrecoveryintl.com or call 855-DREAM-80. Dream Recovery International, where addiction ends and recovery begins.
You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome back. This is Rabbi Jenny with my guest Felicia Rose, recording artist and beautiful soul. And we're talking today about fire and the fire in our lives and what lights us up. And to begin this segment, I actually want to just play through one of Felicia's new songs from her new album, because we're going to talk about mantras and we're going to talk about kirtan and my experience when she lit my fire and how she started to really do this with people, because it's definitely an art and it's something that takes you to another place consciously. So the song we're actually going to play is track 2 on her new album, Raise the Vibration, which you can find at FeliciaRose.com. And it's Let the Mantras Roll. You got it, Blake? Yeah. Awesome. So we're going to just sit back and smile and look pretty and listen.
Or dance.
And dance. Oh, that'd be good. I'll probably start singing with her because I do that. Got to do that low. Got to do the tenor for all that soprano. I can follow you. We'll do mermaid, Hawaiian. So listeners, I want you to listen to this and I want you to get the idea of what a mantra can do for you. Is this you playing it?
No, this is the oud.
Amazing.
My friend.
Amazing. I was noticing that when I was listening earlier.
Every moment there's a choice, an open invitation to live your life like a prayer, a walking meditation. Let the mantras roll. Take control. Mind can be a wild beast,
I know it. I'm going to be singing.
or it can be the pathway to peace. Oh, Shanti. Om Shanti.
definitely my favorite. So far, I haven't heard them. She only sent me 3. Okay, let's can we hear that down a little bit so we can talk? Oh, absolutely gorgeous.
Thank
Give us
you.
another fire story from your life. Come on, I want to hear another one. I'm going to sit by my fire, which is you, and
Okay.
and listen to how fire transformed your life. Something lit you up. Talk about when something just lit you up inside and your life changed.
Okay. It's happened so many times. So many times I've gone into the fire and gotten burned and been reborn.
Yeah, well, give us
Many
one.
times. Well, I could talk about the time the whales gave me the message to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a very profound dream I don't even know if it was a dream, a spiritual experience. It was very, 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 very powerful. And this was before I sang.
Right.
I wasn't doing music. I had a guitar and I tried to sing and people told me not to. They said I didn't have the gift.
But there was a fire.
Well, there was I had a physical condition that I loved music and I loved to dance. I was a dancer. I loved to move, to dance, to spin, and I was being told I was going to be, in a wheelchair. And so I was trying to figure out how I could still enjoy music without having to dance. So I got a guitar and started to sing, but people told me it wasn't very good. So I sort of was carrying it around on my journey, but I wasn't really playing it because they told me I didn't have a voice and I should stick to dancing, but they didn't realize I wasn't going to be able to dance soon because I needed some surgeries that I'd always needed since I was a little girl and I didn't want them. I didn't believe that I could get healed through Western medicine.
So your passion for music, because we're talking about
My
fire.
passion for music was dancing. My passion was dancing.
But you transformed it.
I did.
Like we talk about, like the Moses moment. Like you
Yes.
saw something that just went, wait a
Well,
minute, this
I
isn't going
had
to work.
this dream where I was taken in the deep blue ocean and I encountered 3 humpback whales. And they were like sounding me, like reverberating through my being. And their eyes were staring in my eyes. And they said to me, we need you to sing and we're going to give you a voice.
Wow.
And I said, you're going to have to. Because they're telling me not to sing. And I woke up from this dream and I zipped out of my tent. I was
That's another story.
Somebody walked up to me and said, we want you to sing tonight at this event.
Wow.
And here's some white clothes. And of course I said, I don't really wear white clothes because I'm a camper. See, I wear white clothes now. But and I sang and this voice came because the whales told me, we will give you this voice. And a few weeks later, I found myself I always used to swim around with wild dolphins. That was kind of my gig. I loved wild dolphins. And I was swimming with the wild dolphins and all of a sudden they disappeared and the 3 whales that I saw in my dream appeared.
You know what I'm loving about this story is it comes from a time in your life where something was seeming to die, like the dream of the dancing. And, we talk about it and we're going to go back to the story that started this whole topic about fire. And that's what happened for the Moshe and you, is that something in your life wasn't going to work. And you either had to confront this transformation or not. And your subconscious or who you were as a being had such a fire, had such a need to transform this very passion, and I think that the listeners need to know that, like, if something in your life is not working, it's actually the good news.
Yeah, it's like the lemonade thing.
Yeah, you may not be right. You may not be able to see it, and just opening to the idea that you're being transformed, that change, like we talked about last week, is actually a good thing, and let it transform you, let it burn that fire in you. And I wanted to talk about an kirtan. And when I went to go see you, Felicia, for the first time, I had never been to a kirtan before. And it's this chanting like we just heard on the mantras, and you sing and we repeat back and you sing. So I wasn't trying to over-sing her. I was just trying to do kirtan. I was scamming a little kirtan in the afternoon after work, Yeah. And I got such an ecstatic level of joy. We call it hitlavut in Jewish mysticism. Sometimes you're chanting the Hebrew and you get so ecstatic. And I was so moved, and it gets to this idea of like, how do you fan the fire? And the mantra is like a prayer, like you say in that song. It's devoting your life to sacred words and using sacred words of any kind to fan the fire in you. Talk about kirtan and how that came to you as like kind of your hit thing around here.
Well, actually, what had happened was I was, once the Whales put me on this mission, which I took, and because I could immediately see that they were for real. They gave me a voice, because from out of nowhere there was this voice, and I was singing and I was sharing music, and every time I sang, people came around me.
Wow.
And the kirtan. It was old, because actually my very first inspirational music was this Kundalini Sikh chanting music, which totally moved my soul. And I listened to it all the time. I didn't try and sing it because it was too complex. And, I'd been to Krishna feasts. I met Radhanath Swami back in the days and was chanting Hare Krishna with him at rainbow gatherings. But I wasn't devoting my life to this until I actually finally did have the surgeries that I did need to have. I waited till I was crawling, though, and I had them. And during the physical pain, when the pain, I always say, for me, those surgeries were like having two amazing big fat Greek weddings. You know what I mean? Like, there was so much pain, but I was like the star of the show. I got to wear white, and everybody was giving me all this attention.
Wow.
And this incredible pain became this incredible bliss, because during those surgeries, there was just angels everywhere. But the only way I could get the physical pain to stop, like the pills didn't work, was to sing this one song. And it was like a kirtan song. I mean,
you sing it for us?
Well, it's actually, I ended up putting it on the album. It's to Shiva. It's to the Lord Shiva. And I know the Jewish tradition, it's Shiva that confuses people.
Shiva is like Hashem. Shiva is the male god. It's Adonai, Eloheinu.
Yeah. So he helps burn and transform, and the death of one thing. It's exactly what we're talking about. The purification.
Can you sing it live for us? Can you do it without guitar? Because it's not loaded in.
It's not loaded in.
No. Will you do a little for us?
Well, I could do a piece of it.
Yeah.
Shivaya Nama Om. Shivaya Nama Om. Shivaya Nama Om. Nama Shivaya.
So beautiful.
Shiva Shiva Shambho Shankara Hara 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 Mahadevara Ganga Chatadara Moni Manohara Patipuri Parameshwara. Shiva helped me, and singing these songs and these chants would make my pain go away.
Wow.
I would sing till I had no pain.
When we come back, you're going to tell people how they can see and hear Felicia Rose.
All right. Now dig this, baby. You don't care for me. I don't care about that.
Do you know someone who is currently struggling with an addiction? The struggle is over. Dream Recovery International has the answer. With a combination of highly skilled clinicians, innovative treatment modalities, and luxurious amenities, Dream Recovery International has it all. Focusing on core issues, spiritual growth, and personal empowerment, clients of Dream Recovery International leave addiction behind and move forward to fully embrace life. For more information, go to dreamrecoveryintl.com or call 855-DREAM-80. Dream Recovery International, where addiction ends and recovery begins.
Tune in to a special edition of Talk Legal with Jeff Van Treese, where Jeff will be interviewing the prosecutor that put Charles Manson behind bars, Vincent Bugliosi, about his book, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder. That's Tuesday night at 6 on WNN 1470.
Spent hours in therapy, at the spa, and the gym, and still feel as if something is missing? At Walk Between the Worlds with shamanic practitioner Jennifer Sellers, you recapture lost pieces of yourself, place them within your heart, and move forward to fully actualize life. With individual sessions and group classes, with Walk Between the Worlds, you heal your mind, unite your soul, and empower your spirit. Contact walkbetweentheworlds.com today. Mention this ad on the Rabbi Jenny Show and receive 10% off your first session. Walk free and whole and true at walkbetweentheworlds.com.
You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey, it's Rabbi Jenny. Welcome back. We're here with Felicia Rose, and we're so grateful she came in, and she's going to take a few moments to let you know where you can see her. Where can we see you?
Well,
Coming
I will
up.
be playing my next tour. I just came back from North Carolina, and I did a big show here last Saturday.
Okay.
I will be in April 22nd in Hatboro, PA at Soul Spirit Connection.
Okay.
Wellness, Mission Yoga in Scranton, Pennsylvania. May 2nd, I'll be at a big Kirtan festival called Elevate Ganesh Festival. It's a benefit to save the elephants at Elevate Yoga in Orlando.
When is that?
May 2nd.
Oh, I may
5
have
to
to
10
go to
p.m.
that.
That'll be real special.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So that all the information will be on my website tonight, tomorrow.
Okay, so check out www.feliciarose.com. Definitely get her album, Raise the Vibration. If you can catch her, if you can see her, she will just completely light your fire. And she's going to sit with us for the rest of the show, I hope. And it's actually time for the Rabbi Jenny Ridiculous Joy Jar. We ready?
Joy, 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 joy. It's Adeline Gobergstein, and it's time for the Rabbi Jenny Ridiculous Joy Jar Challenge.
Hello, do we have a caller for the challenge today?
Yes,
Who's the caller?
my name's Valerie.
Hi, Valerie. It's Rabbi Jenny. Thank you for calling in. Do you know what the Ridiculous Joy Jar Challenge is?
Tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, yeah, you have 30 seconds or less to name 10 things that make you feel ridiculously joyful. And if you can do that, then you can promote your business and tell us who you are and just talk to the audience. You think you're up for it?
Sounds good.
All right, you got 10 things. You ready? On your mark, get set, go.
Okay. One is my goddaughter Rachel. The second is having a ministry mindset. I volunteered at an orphanage called Grandma's Place.
Wow.
3 is when my socks don't get lost in the dryer, which is a miracle most days. 4 is the elevator arriving the second you push the button, because I'm not a patient person.
Good one.
5 is random acts of kindness. 6 is the power of a good laugh. 7 is receiving a handwritten letter. 8 is honor palmers, which always make me happy. 9 is babies. And 10 is sleeping in, which I don't do often.
What was 10? Sleeping in?
Sleeping in.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! I feel like you thought about these, Valerie. Did you think about these a little bit?
Well, I'm always thinking about the things that make me happy.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell us who you are. What's your business? What do you do? What do you want to promote today on the Rabbi Jenny Show?
I work with the Gift of Life Bone Marrow Foundation. We are one of the nation's public bone marrow and blood stem cell registries. Through our life-saving work, we facilitate transplants for children and adults suffering from life-threatening diseases among leukemia and lymphoma.
So how can our listeners, if they want to donate, if they want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Definitely. Our mission is, a match anytime, anywhere for anyone. For anyone interested in either joining the registry or running a drive, they can call me at my direct line, which is 561-982-2949, or they can visit us on the web at giftoflife.org.
Oh, Valerie, thank you so much for calling in and those great joy. I'm going to think about those, the socks in the dryer. They eat my son's socks. I don't know what that is. It's sock heaven is what we call
I'm
it.
hoping one day they'll all appear.
They will all appear. They're in a place with all the pens that disappear when you're at work, right? There's pens and socks in some secret room. Well, thanks for calling in, and you have
Thanks
a beautiful,
so much for having me.
have a joyful day, my dear.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. That was awesome. That was great. Thank you, Valerie. So we're talking about fire before we get to the Jenny Jam, and I want to talk about this idea of building a fire. before we get to the jam. And this idea that I was talking about with the tinder and the paper and the pine needles and the kindling. And I want to really go through and build this fire inside of you listeners, because you know, I'm going to miss you. It's going to be like 6 days and 23 hours before I get to talk to you again. And I don't think I can take it. But until I do, I'm going to build this fire in you. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crumble up some old ideas for you, because there's something trying to change in your life and you don't think you can handle it. You just don't think you're capable of reaching that far or doing that new thing or being available for that level of love. And so I want to crumble up that newspaper. Whoever gave you those old ideas and all those old messages, I want to just crumble that up and throw it right in the fire with you while you're driving the car. And then I want to add some pine needles. I want to add those things that you just don't need anymore. Those things, maybe they're people, places, and things that just don't fit you and you're afraid to let them go. But I'm going to envision them with you, and I'm going to let them fall from the tree. And I want them to fall from the tree, and we're going to throw them right on that fire with those newspaper, because we're getting ready to burn that fire. And we're going to incinerate and change and transform and reburn your life. We're going to change who you are. And then we're going to add some kindling. We're going to add some of those branches that are always a part of you, but they're your strengths. They're those things that you came into this world to do and to think. And so we're going to add that up, and then we're going to light it up. And we're going to light it up just in time for the Jenny Jam. Blake, we got the Jenny Jam coming up. You ready? All right, let's do it. And when you're listening to the jam, everybody, I want you to feel the fire. There's a flame burning deep in your soul. Find the fire building out of control. Let me light you up. Let me light you up. Been so long wandering around, numbing out to what you see. It's time to let the world inspire you, light you up and set you free. The hamster wheel that you've been riding, working hard to make ends meet. No sense of joy, just burden building pyramids at others' feet. Take time to question, time to ponder. This is the time for you to rise. Something's calling, something's waiting. I see that fire in your eyes. You think you can stay safe in this game. There's nothing as unsafe as staying the same. There's a fire burning deep in your soul. Find the flame building out of control. Let me light you up. Let me light you up. Let me light you up, people. Ready? The sky, the moon, the sun, the stars, the joy, the pain, the wounds, the scars, the twists and turns, the kisses and bites, snuggles and giggles, deep in the night. Rock and roll and fuchsia flowers, porcupines and mountain power, friends and lovers, mothers squeeze, sisters, brothers, hot girl tease. Love more than before. Dig deep and love more than before. Love more than before. Find your purpose, open the door. There's a flame burning deep in your soul. Find the fire building out of control. There's a flame burning deep in your soul. Find the fire building out of control. Let me light you up. Let me light you up. All right. Thank you. You know, the Baal Shem Tov, who was a famous Jewish mystic, said every human being has a light inside of them, and that light actually rises up and connects you to heaven. And I hope today you have learned that you have that light inside of you. And I hope you learn that today, and I hope you'll be inspired to listen to those moments that are igniting you, because I just have a feeling that there are moments. For the last few minutes, I wanted to talk about one movie that I love, and you're going to be like, oh my God, Jenny, I can't believe you're talking about this movie. It's a very male movie, I think, and it's got Kevin Costner in it, so it's a good light that fire movie, and it's called Field of Dreams. I love this movie, and I want to point out the connection to Moses with this movie, because it is a moment with his father, and we're dealing with Pharaoh in the Moses story, and I just love imagery and how it's consistent in life. And if you ever watch this movie, which I highly recommend, Kevin Costner's character gets this feeling: if you build it, they will come. And what ends up happening is he builds this Meshuggah baseball field in his back cornfield, and he travels. But what happens is he actually heals the wounds from his father. He actually connects to his roots and who he is. And that's what happened, with our guest Felicia when she had to let go of her dream of a dancer. And that's what happened in my own life, where I let go of one career and got lit up to another. And that's what happened for this man in this movie, where he didn't know why he was doing this big crazy thing in his life. But it actually healed something inside of him and transformed him as a man, as a son, as a husband, as just a part of the universe. And we get connected to this idea that we have a purpose. Do you feel like you have a purpose and you can feel it in your tummy? In that part of your gut, that's where this flame lives. That's where this flame lives deep inside of you. It is in your gut. It is in your soul, and it is waiting. It is waiting for you to just simply notice it and say, there is a flame inside of me. And I'm going to let it burn, and I'm going to let it burn bright. And I have something to do, and I am going to do it with all my might, no matter what. So if you're in your car, if you're listening to Rabbi Jenny, I want you to repeat this after me. There's a flame building deep inside of me. It's deep inside of me, and it's burning bright. Say it. It's deep inside of me, and it's burning bright. And I'm going to follow it. I'm going to let it light me up. I'm going to let it light me up. Say it, say it, say it. Big and bright. And I'm not going to fear its power. I'm not going to fear its change. Because I'm telling you, if you are listening today, it's going to come in there, and it's going to give you a Moshe moment. This is an important week for my people. This is an important week for people of the Christian faith. I wish you a happy Passover, a happy Easter. May you be reborn, and may you celebrate letting go of anything that burdens you and keeps you enslaved. See you next Wednesday. I adore you, and I will miss you so much. Bye-bye.
You have been listening and lighting up your life with Rabbi Jenny. Join us next week for another session of love, light, and joy as Rabbi Jenny takes life to the next level. Are you ready? Rabbi Jenny says the time is now.